All right, well, let me give you a cohesive thought then.
Are you sure you can muster one?
Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Dead animals, hundreds of them.
And back by popular demand, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mickey.
What up, guys?
All right. And today we will be discussing the 2005 horror movie, The Descent, written and directed by Neil Marshall, starring Natalie Mendoza, Shauna Macdonald, and Alex Reed, among others. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. But before we get into it, let's run the trailer.
Juno, are you sure we're going the right way?
I've never been lost in my life. There's only one way out of this chamber, and that's down the pipe. I'm stuck. I can't breathe.
Look, Sarah, you have to calm down. I'm coming back, okay? Okay. Okay, move! Now! Now! This is not good, guys.
Can we get out of here? Which way?
I don't know.
Sarah thought she saw someone back
So
there.
what?
I don't think I saw someone. I saw someone. No, you heard something and you saw what you wanted to see. It's the dark. It plays tricks on people. Please! Is there anybody there?
What was that?
I told you I saw someone! Batteries on our lights will run out. Where are they?
Okay, ladies, would you like me to give you a synopsis?
Yes, please.
Yeah, that one's getting old. One year after a severe emotional trauma, Sarah goes to North Carolina to spend some time exploring caves with her friends. After descending underground, the women find strange cave paintings and evidence of an earlier expedition. Then they learn they are not alone. Underground predators inhabit these caves, and they have a taste for human blood.
Oh, God. So this is what tonight's going to be like, huh?
Yes. With lots of ice.
Oh, my God.
Put the
Please
ice
stop
out there.
crinkling that ice. You're killing me.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Killing me, Smalls.
All right. So shall I take over at this point?
I could just give you my quick opening thoughts, just give you the price and whatnot. This movie had a budget of just under $4 million, and it grossed $57 million at the box office. So I guess we can consider that a successful movie.
Yeah.
And in my mind, the most dangerous thing in that cave was Juno. I'd rather face a cave ghoul than Juno with her climbing pick any day.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
and this movie didn't scare me as much as it just gave me like super anxiety, but in that good way you want from a movie like this. So for me, it was more of like an anxiety movie than it was a horror movie, but we'll get into that. And that's pretty much all I got.
I will say that they expected the movie to do a little better, but it came out the same week as the London bombings in 2005. So that affected the box office because, you know, the people were freaked out. And it also, they fast tracked the release of this movie because it was being released around the same time as The Cave, which is a very similar movie.
Mhm.
And so they fast tracked this to get this out faster to be out before The Cave.
Interesting.
I did like this more than The Cave. Although I did like The Cave, I liked this more.
Me too.
I don't think I saw The Cave. I'm going to have to put it on the list now after I've watched this. All right. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Our movie opens with 3 women paddling through river rapids. The waters are treacherous, but they make it through safely. And it's clear that all these women like extreme sports and are well versed in how to handle themselves. The women are Sarah, played by Shauna Macdonald, Juno, played by Natalie Mendoza, and Beth, played by Alex Reed. Sarah's husband, Paul, played by Oliver Milburn, and daughter Jessica, played by Molly Kale, await them on the shore, and she joins them to head back to the hotel. As the two are driving, Paul loses sight of the road and hits a utility van head on. Several pipes fly off the van and shoot through the windshield, impaling Paul's head. Sarah awakes in a hospital. She gets out of bed and goes to the hallway. It's empty. Lights start turning off and she runs, calling for her daughter. She runs until all the lights have gone out and runs right into the arms of her friend Beth, grabs her and hugs her and tells her that Jessica is gone. I don't know if you guys feel this way or not, but scenes like this is this and the scene in Final Destination is why I don't drive behind anything that has like pipes or logs or anything on it. Nope.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good with that as well.
Yeah. I see that and I'm hitting the blinker and moving over and going around.
So
Thank
I got some questions about this opening scene, if you don't
Yes.
mind if I go first.
Please feel free.
So first of all, I was happy to see the husband and the kid go early in the movie because they just weren't necessary. And I had some questions. The way this movie starts off is going to raise questions in my mind of whether this whole thing happened or not. And it's also the ending scene, which I won't get to too quickly. But you'll notice when Beth is holding her in the hall and she's having the breakdown, right? She's laying on the floor sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people in the hallways, the doctors, the paramedics, they're just walking by like they can't even see her.
Yes, I did notice that.
I mean, it felt to me like a dream sequence.
A little bit.
And the only one aside from Sarah and Beth that noticed was Juno.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, Juno is behind her. And of course, you know, as we find out later, I mean, not a spoiler to either of you, Juno and Paul had a thing going on, and they pretty much telegraphed that pretty early when he's helping her out of the water.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Did you? How did you miss it?
You
I
did?
don't know. I missed it.
I was like, oh, there's something going on there.
How exciting.
Oh my God.
Maybe it's a woman thing, like, you know, like
Oh, I saw it from a mile away.
me too. And I'm like, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, ooh, you sneaky bitch. Yeah.
I absolutely missed it. And it was the second time I've seen this movie. I can't believe it.
I can't believe you missed it.
It's
'cause
very
I saw it.
subtle. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think it was subtle at all. I thought it was like hitting you over the head. I was like, oh boy, they're having a thing, huh? Like immediately. I was like, So
Interesting. Well, I'm even happier that he took it in the head with a piece of pipe.
oh God.
Dick.
Love each day. Anyways.
Yeah.
So a year later, we are in the Appalachian Mountains. Beth and Sarah are in an SUV driving into Chattooga National Park to meet Juno. At Juno's cabin, 2 other women, Sam, played by, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, so Nyana Burring, who you might also
Nice.
recognize from Netflix's The Witcher, and Rebecca, played by Saskia Mulder, are waiting for their reunion. Also at the cabin is Holly, played by Nora Jane Noon, a woman that is learning how to do extreme sports under Juno. They have some drinks before turning in for the night. Sarah dreams of hearing her daughter giggling and a pipe flying through the window into her head. The next morning, they pack up and head to the Borum Caves. After driving too fast on the way there, Juno makes the amazingly wonderful decision to leave the guidebook in the car. Now, of course, I had never seen the movie before, so this is me writing that before I had seen the rest of the film. They walk along the river and then rappel down into a cave. They're in a large picturesque chamber, but Juno announces there's only one way out, and that's to go down the pipe. It's a claustrophobic passage that leads to another underground chamber. Sarah again hears her daughter giggling, but she thinks it's just water, the sound of water dripping and her losing her mind. So this kind of plays back to Dez's point earlier, but But I was going to say, Mickey, do you think that Sarah is already losing it before they even get into the cave?
I do. And I'll tell you that. So how do I word this? Sarah, yes. Yes. Like,
Sure.
I'm trying to say it like I don't even know how to explain it, but like, because I don't want to, get too far ahead. But yes, with everything going on in the movie that does end up transpiring and everything that has transpired up until this point, I think she's already showing signs of, and I don't want to say like it's not dementia, but it's like that act, like losing her family really fucked with her head.
And she's on medicine. They show her taking
Yes.
medicine. So I'm assuming
Yes.
it's for either it's a tranquilizer or it's maybe an antipsychotic. I mean,
Yes.
Mhm.
And you know what I don't remember now that we say that is I do remember thinking, oh yes, she's on medication, but was she boozing it up too, or was she not drinking? I can't remember.
She was drinking.
she was drinking.
Okay. So that's a good combo.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. If you're on antipsychotics and you're drinking, it's not good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just a beer, but I mean, alcohol is alcohol.
Right.
Right. And then who knows what she was on? She could have been on like the mega dose of,
Yeah. Weren't they all smoking weed too?
I think so.
Some of them were. I don't know if she was.
I
Like
don't
Holly
know.
and one of the other girls were outside smoking.
Did Holly annoy anybody else?
Oh my
besides me?
God. So
Holly
much.
sucked. Yeah, she was
So
terrible.
much.
Thank you.
I was
So
psyched
much.
when they ate her guts while she was alive. I enjoyed watching the one girl set her compound fracture.
Oh. Yeah.
Jumping ahead. Oh my God. I also would like to say, so Chattooga National Park does not exist, but there is a Chattooga River, and the Chattooga River was in Deliverance.
Yes.
So yeah, so hearkening back to that classic,
Nice.
if you want to call
So-
it that.
So my thoughts on this cabin scene was, first of all, there's a lot of women there, and I never really got comfortable with any of the characters. It didn't feel like there was a lot of character building going on here. Like for the first, 10 minutes of this movie, there was like 3 blondes and 2 brunettes, and they were all the same. I'm like, okay, you got, you got Sarah. I know she's your main character, and Juno. She was pretty easy to pinpoint, but I wasn't really picking up much as far as character building goes. And I did like that tin mask they kept going to. It was nailed to the cabin. I thought that was pretty spooky.
Yeah.
And she has this nightmare, and she wakes up. It's a false awakening at first. She thinks she's awake, and she sees the one girl in bed, and then you get the jump scare through the window.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And throughout this movie, we're going to keep getting these like little, like she's almost dozing off and kind of coming in and out and having little dreams about her daughter and stuff. And I just couldn't help but to feel like the director was telling us this is a dream, like over and over and over. This is a dream. This is a dream. Like, is she in a coma and dreaming this? I don't know. And then the choice to let her drive the Jeep when they all know she's like on these medications and she's driving like a crazy person. I'm like, no way. I'm not getting in that Jeep.
I gotta be honest with you. I think it was probably a bad idea to take her caving in the first place.
This whole trip was a series of bad ideas.
Oh yeah.
Like when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't even get me started on Juno. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but it's like I question, maybe if you want to get her back into doing extreme sports, you do something a little less dangerous, especially, of course, now I'm jumping ahead, but the fact that they're actually not where they think they are. So,
right.
If you're not where you think you are and you don't have any quote unquote safety net, this is like her first time doing extreme sports since her entire family died. Like,
right.
Is this a good idea? Probably not.
No.
So,
and then take them to a place where, even I forget her name says you can have hallucinations, you can have cluster, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head there. You forgot her name, and so did everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a hard time telling who was who in this movie, unfortunately.
The only ones I remember really, and it's really the 2 other blondes, because I remember Beth because I liked that character.
Yep, me too.
I thought she was very nurturing. I thought she was a really good friend. I remember Juno because she was a douche.
Mhm.
Sarah because she's the main character, and then Holly because she was so annoying.
Right.
The other two I don't remember.
Rebecca and Sam, the sisters.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one was a doctor or in med
Yeah,
school or
Sam's the
something.
doctor.
Yeah.
And-
Okay.
Yep. She is she's also the one that's in The Witcher. So because I kept saying, where do I know her from? Where do I know her from? It was making me crazy. And that's where I know
Right.
her from. So let's continue. So our next passageway is even smaller. And Holly goes first to check it out. She calls out that she's through, and they all go through, but Sarah gets stuck. Beth goes back to help her. She's panicking, and with all the commotion, the small passage begins to collapse. Sarah has to leave the rope bag behind and move as fast as she can to get out before she gets crushed. Everyone's all right, but they're stuck now. One of the girls had filed a flight plan with the Forest Service just so they can wait until somebody comes to look for them, but there's a problem. They're not in the Borum Caves like they were supposed to be. Juno brought them someplace else, and no one knows they're there. So the decision is made to keep moving, but I got to be honest with you. I think at this point I would have throat punched Juno because
you literally just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like you're taking a bunch of people into an unknown place. You haven't told anyone where you're going, and so we can name it. Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I had some
Right.
problems with this scene because Juno goes out of her way. The little character building they do. Juno seems like the kind of woman that is, she's, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, safety first. We're doing it by the book, no hot dogging.
Right.
But she's going to leave the
book.
map in the car. And
The book doesn't help anyways because they're not in those caves.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Okay. That's, you know what? Wow. I'm dumb as hell. Mystery solved on why Juno didn't bring the map. She didn't have one.
She didn't need the map because they're not in those caves.
All right. Well, let me give you a cohesive thought then.
Are you sure you can muster one?
I'm not sure. If I do, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of mispronounced words in it, but here we go. What I would like to say that I thought was really cool about this movie was the way they did the sound in it. The way they would, bring it down like really tight and condense the sound when they were in the tight spaces. It made it feel so small, and the way they would open it up in the caves. And it was bringing me into these caves and into these small spaces. And I was literally feeling anxiety, like how scared I would be if I was stuck in this little spot. Like, no, I don't want to go any further, and I don't want to go back. I'm kind of stuck here now.
Yeah, I also don't know if either of you noticed this, but I kind of noticed this, and I'm not sure if it's just the way it was showing on Amazon or if this is the way it was in the theater. It's a very dark movie. I mean, obviously you're in a cave, so I mean, it is what it is. But it's you have a very hard time seeing what's happening a lot of the time. And I actually was struggling. I'd have to back up and say, what is that? What's going on? Because it was so dark. But I noticed that there was a couple of times when they did like the claustrophobia thing where they made the actual like visible space very small and the screen was very black, and just what you could see was just a small portion. So you really felt that closed in thing happening,
Yeah.
It was a kind of interesting trick they used.
I mean, I remember watching it for the first time and literally like as I was watching it, because I would be like forgetting to breathe. And then I thought it would be a little, because, I saw it when it first came out, and then I ended up buying it. And then I watched it again last night, and just watching it last night, I even had to like pause it and like play on my phone for a minute.
Yeah.
And then go back to it because it was so like, and I never realized how claustrophobic I was until I watched that movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like I'm claustrophobic, but watching that made me feel claustrophobic.
Yes.
Like I was like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. Like just the thought of being in that spot where she was stuck and she's freaking, I was like, nope, I don't want to do that.
Well, even when they're like, let's go this way. And I'm like, no, it's too small. Like, what are you doing?
Too small.
Like,
oh my goodness.
And Sarah's trying to crawl through that one tiny little thing, and she's like laying on the backpack. I'm like, yo, drag that thing. You don't want to be laying on it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what caused her to get stuck was the rope bag.
Yeah, but I want to say, that's really a testament to how good this filmmaking was, because it made all of us feel like we were stuck in those tight spaces, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was very clever.
Yeah.
So they break through and they find another route, but there's a huge drop between them and the next tunnel. Rebecca traverses out to secure a line for everyone. They begin sliding over one by one. They all make it, but Juno, who falls, as she's trying to collect their gear as she goes. As she falls, the rope sears and deeply cuts Rebecca's hand. I know, it was so gross. Juno climbs up to safety. They realize there was a piton in the rock, which means somebody's been there before and they've gotten out. But Juno thinks if that was the case, they would have named the cave system. So maybe they didn't make it out to safety. Maybe they're dead somewhere in the caves. Holly pushes forward and finds a chamber with cave drawings in it. There's a mountain with 2 caves drawn on it, so the women assume this means there's another way out. However, this is the first indication they're not alone when you get a backlight of a creature watching them growling lowly and they don't know it's there. And the interesting thing is the actresses did not know that was happening. So they were watching that actor dressed as the creature was watching them and they didn't know that they were there. Yeah. So Mickey, this trip's really gone from bad to really bad at this point.
Well, yeah. So they've now gone into Selfish Bitch Passageway, which they're going to call it now. It's been named after Juno. And
Nice.
I mean, literally, like, you know, from that scene where they're like, oh, we're going to have to go across, like, even when I forget her name, Rebecca, the first one that goes across. I'm literally holding my breath, like, oh, Jesus, God, please make, you know what I mean? Like, and I've seen it.
And you know she's going to make it, but it doesn't change that drama.
Whole thing. And then with the rope, like, I literally like jumped up last night. I was like, ugh, you know, and my poor husband's watching it with his he's watching his phone with his headphones on. He keeps like glancing over at me because he doesn't like movies like this. He's like,
and you're like doing calisthenics next to him.
Oh my God.
It's just like, it's such a tense scene. Like, I feel like my neck hurt after watching that movie because I was just so tight,
jaw clenched.
Like, clenched. Yeah, like my shoulders were up around my ears, and I'm just like, ugh. So I messaged you. I'm like, I'm gonna go have to listen to spa music after this. Like, but that scene, like with the rope just like zinging through her hands like that, like and
we've all had rope burn, and that was like rope burn to the nth degree. So you know how much it hurts, because just a regular rope burn hurts like hell.
Yeah, but that whole, like, even when you see her face as she notices that thing stuck in the rock, you're like, huh.
Yeah,
that's, to me, that was like, that's like the first indication that maybe there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So at this point, had Juno revealed that they were in a different cave?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah. That was before they found the cave drawings.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I thought this was, like she said, I thought this was really cool. One thing that was going through my mind is, you know, she's trying to set the hooks as she's going across the crevasse. Did I say that right? Crevasse?
You did. That was fantastic.
You know, she's going to go all the way across in one shot. It feels to me like she should have gone out, set one, gone back, gone out, set the other one. You know, she's like really taking some chances out there trying to go all the way across. She's hanging by one hand for like, I'm like, oh, there's no way.
Yeah, it was tense.
Yeah.
Very.
And yeah, it was cool though. I loved it. I thought it was great. And again, you know, I didn't read this movie like a horror movie. I don't really like horror movies, and I really enjoyed this one. And you know, we'll get into why it wasn't a horror movie, and it was more of a anxiety, you know, sci-fi thriller more. But yeah, I thought this was cool.
Excellent. So using a lighter, Juno finds the passage that has some airflow, and Holly makes a dash for it. Juno, suddenly the voice of being safe, calls for her to slow down and be careful. And of course, Holly doesn't listen because she's an asshole. She thinks she sees daylight, but ends up falling down a hole, and she hits her head on the way down. She's alive, but she has a compound fracture in her leg. Ugh, gross.
I know.
Gross. I broke my leg now. So now anytime I see somebody with a broken leg, it freaks me out. So I was definitely
say, Delynn, you pretty much suffered that same injury.
It didn't go through the skin, but it was close enough. Blech.
Oh, yeah. God.
Gross. So the women get down to her. They're working on splintering her leg, and Sarah hears Jessica giggling again. She follows the sound and finds an old mining hat. She's hearing animalistic clicking sounds in the distance, and she's using her flashlight to kind of look, and she thinks she sees something, and she thinks it's a man, but she's not really sure because it's kind of far away and it's dark. Just as that happens, Juno grabs her and brings her back to the group. Now, Des, nobody believes her when she says that she saw something. And I can't say that I really blame them at this point, because who would have thought that that was going on?
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't have believed her either, especially knowing she's on meds and she's been dealing with all this, all this stuff. And, she's clearly not thinking straight. And, I loved the first look at the ghoul. I've just been calling them ghouls. I thought it was great. I thought that the compound fracture scene was great. Marshall was really doing a good job of raising my anxiety level throughout this movie. The tension was building and building. And that was one thing I really liked about this movie. It was a fun story and I was enjoying myself at this point in the movie. I really was.
Yeah. I think that the compound fracture scene is disturbing, but I think that's part of it. I think that, he's setting it up so that these women are in worse and worse and worse position before what's coming next.
Oh yeah, she was a bag of groceries at this point.
Well, I mean, think about it. If a person who can't put weight on one leg, like, what are you going to do with this person?
And you're
right?
in a cave and you have to climb and you have to
I don't even know how they got her as far as they did. Honestly, I think if I was them, I think I would have said, you have to stay here while we go find a way to get us out.
They should have done the same thing with her that they did with Beth. They should have just crushed her head with a rock.
Oh, honey, you're jumping ahead. Oh, my goodness. All right. So they climb up into another chamber, and this one is full of bones. And I just jumped ahead, so now I can't see where I was. Hold on. There we go.
This one is smooth.
Hey, listen now. Just make a note and make an edit here, would you?
Okay.
That's why we've got an editing system.
The editing office is not happy.
So they climb up into another chamber and it's full of bones. One of them uses the infrared on the camera to look around. And as they scan the room, there's something monstrous behind one of the girls. It runs through them and runs up onto the roof of the chamber, causing panic and terror. They pick a tunnel to go down because now everyone's panicking. They're rushing along and they run right into another one of these creatures. The group scatters as the cave dweller attacks Holly, ripping out her throat because she was the low-hanging fruit at this point. Mm-hmm. Juno fights for Holly as the crawler tries to drag her away. She puts up a valiant fight, but she's hitting the crawler with an ice pick, or that's not really an ice pick. What is it, like an ice axe?
Climbing pick.
Climbing pick, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, she hits it with it, and then another one bum rushes Juno and knocks her over. The creature drags Holly away while Juno is continuing to fight for her own life. She's able to stab it to death. As she stands over the creature, she feels someone coming up behind her and spins, swinging the axe and puts it right through Beth's neck. In what seems to be true Juno fashion, when Beth whispers, "Don't leave me," Juno backs away into the darkness. So, Mickey, I went from cheering for Juno being such a badass 1 second to hating her guts all over again. She went toe-to-toe for Holly, but then she causes Beth's injury and is like, ciao.
I'll tell you, again, I didn't like her from the get-go. And then I remember being so pissed off the first time I saw that because, like I said, Beth, out of all the women, she was probably my second favorite character because she was very nurturing. You could tell she really cared about Sarah.
Yeah.
And I think she was coming to try to help Juno with these things. Mm-hmm. And that's how she gets repaid. And then not only that, she not only gets stabbed in the neck, and then Juno's like, peace out. I'll see you later. Yep. And doesn't say anything to anybody else about it.
Nope. And she's not like, I'm sorry, or, bends down with her. She just like fucking ciao, bye.
Right. So,
yeah.
Bitch.
It's funny how people see movies differently because I really didn't have too much of a problem with Juno. I kind of felt like she really liked Sarah a lot and had her back. And, I
think that was guilt.
Maybe, but I didn't catch the affair in the beginning. So I right off the bat, I wasn't looking at her the way you guys were.
Right.
And then in this scene, they're being attacked by these marshmallow ghouls. And she just watched one friend get eaten. She's fighting one off for her one friend. She's being attacked by another. And then Beth sneaks up on her and taps her. It's like, no, what are you doing? This girl's swinging a freaking climbing pick. And she whips around thinking she's going to stab a marshmallow ghoul and puts the thing straight through this girl's spine and shoots out her Adam's apple, even though she doesn't have one because she's a woman. She takes the climbing pick through the neck, out the back, And, she pulls it out and the girl falls and whispers, which would never happen because she's got no throat left. And I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do? Like, oh, man, sorry. I didn't mean to put the climbing pick through your
if you
neck
care
like
about
that.
somebody, are you going to just peace out, Cub Scout? Or are you going to at least take a second and be like,
I
dude?
put out of their misery.
I probably would have thrown up in my mouth a little bit.
I don't know.
Still a better reaction than Juno had.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, just so you guys know, I thought this was interesting. So there was like Team A for the cast, and it was the women. And then there was Team B, and it was all the crawlers. And they did not mix. They purposely kept the actors separated so that there'd be no camaraderie. They didn't even let them see what they were going to look like. So the actors had no idea. That reaction when they first see it through the camera is a real reaction.
Yep.
They didn't know. They didn't know what they looked like. They didn't know they didn't even know they were on set. They thought they were just in a scene. And literally the screaming and panicking was real.
That's cool. I like
Marshmallow Ghoulies.
The Marshmallow Ghoulies. What I liked about these...
That's a good band name. TM.
Marshmallow Ghoulies. What I liked about these monsters was... Man.
Sorry, it took me a second. I was like...
This podcast is feeling eerily similar to our neighbor's podcast.
Oh, God.
We got a little crazy.
So these monsters, what I did like about them was they weren't scary like threatening to me anyway. They felt more like zombies. Like, if you were quiet, you could outrun them. If you smashed them in the head, they would die. They were very vulnerable, but they were dangerous because of their numbers. And I like that. I thought it was really cool. It was like you've got these vulnerable monsters that are like super deadly, but also super vulnerable. And, they weren't bad. They were just hungry.
Well, I mean, I suppose at this point they're broken down to very primal behavior. They're animals,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not on Team Juno.
I want to underline one more thing for the end of this movie. I mean, let's be honest.
Are you jumping ahead to the end?
No, but I'm saying I want to underline this point.
Oh, okay.
Juno did not kill Beth on purpose. That was not.
Oh, of course not. No. I totally believe it was an accident. But it was an accident. So
yeah, that was an accident.
Guilty about it.
That was an accident, but there's going to be a murder later in the movie that is not an accident.
Yes, agreed. But we'll get there when we get there.
We will.
All right. So Sam and Rebecca are lost in the dark and their batteries are dying. They're in a tight tunnel and Rebecca lights up a green glow stick because now it's a rave.
Marshmallow rave?
It's a marshmallow rave.
It's the Marshmallow Ghoulie rave.
Oh, I like that. I'm in.
TM.
R.
It's not very bright, but it casts enough glow and you can see that there's a creature hanging on the ceiling above them. And I wrote watching them, but clearly it's not watching them. It's listening to them because it can't see crap.
Right.
They hear crawlers coming, so they climb up onto a ledge, turn off the headlamp, and they're hoping to hide. Meanwhile, somehow Sarah was able to lay down and take a nap and have a nightmare. She still has the camera with the infrared on. She uses it to look around and realizes she's surrounded by bones, some human, some animal. She hears the creatures and she tries to move to hide using the camera to watch. She can see Holly's body and watches as the creatures convene to eat her. Sarah gags at the sight and one of the creatures hears her. It's right in front of her, but Juno is calling for her and the creatures scatter again, going after the loud noise. So Sam and Rebecca discover the crawlers can't see them when one of them goes right by them, despite the green glow from the glow stick, making them very visible. So these creatures are working almost exclusively off sound at this point. You get the scene where her watch beeps and she chucks it because it can't find them. It's just looking for the watch. And of course, in the meantime, Juno is walking around yelling out everyone's name. And Sarah, Sam, and Rebecca have all figured out that the creatures are finding them through sound. So none of them are saying, "Hey, Juno, we're over here," because none of them are concerned that Juno is bringing down the pack of them on her head with all of her yelling. I think they're kind of like, "Hey, that's okay. You take them on." But Des, you think these creatures are pretty interesting, don't you? They've lost vision for years in the dark, and the clicking noises are almost like a bat echolocation.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But I had a lot of troubles with the rules of these animals. It seems like sometimes in fight scenes they could see, even though they weren't supposed to. It seems like they had no scent whatsoever. They had no touch. I mean, they've been crawling around in the dark. He's like, they're standing on Sarah, and this thing's not like, oh, I feel a fleshy woman under me. Maybe I should eat it. The first time we see it, she shines the light on it, and it's spooked, and it runs away. So it can see that. I mean, they weren't following rules with these monsters, and I was fine with it. But they definitely were not following the rules with these monsters. That was
right, though. There's a couple times where like somebody moves a light or something and it reacts to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that means they can kind of see, but not.
Yeah, that was my first thought about these things, but I thought they were cool and I liked them a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's a cool design. They also said that part of the design was taken from the classic Max Schreck Nosferatu. So like that's kind of like the look they were going for. Obviously, he was, more human, but that kind of that pointy ear thing. And then, of course, that kind of weird grayish skin.
I feel like especially when they were standing behind excuse me, when they were standing behind the first time you actually see them when she had her on the camera, like that to me was like total Nosferatu. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah.
He was just kind of standing there like,
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some great jump scares and some great visuals with this, but let me give you this movie from another angle. Okay. There's this tribe of creatures and they do what they can to survive. They eat and they hunt, and this crazy monster comes down with a pit climbing axe and starts butchering them in their own home. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she murdered one of them's babies. Remember later in the movie?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. When she's Carrie.
Speaking of, not to go off the subject, but she did remind me a little bit of a young Sissy Spacek.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. It's almost like they played off that when they did that blood scene later.
Okay.
Definitely.
So it wasn't just me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote that down 100%.
Yeah, definitely gave you that vibe for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So Sarah's cutting clothing and taking items off of Holly. She finds an old lamp and uses some kerosene and strikes a spark with 2 carabiners to make a torch. And I'm not sure you could get a spark from 2 carabiners like that, but they was still kind of cool.
Yeah.
Sam and Rebecca are slowly making their way out when a creature drops down from the ceiling in front of them. Sam makes a run for it when Rebecca tries to fight the crawler. It's about to rip her throat out when Juno appears and stabs it dead. She tells them that Holly and Beth are dead, but doesn't tell them that she killed Beth by accident. They discuss what the crawlers are, blind, evolved to live underground, and hunt using noise. Juno says she's found markings and she's pretty sure that it's going to be a way out, but she won't leave without Sarah. Mickey, you think that she wants to save Sarah from guilt or friendship?
Guilt.
Yeah.
That's just me being a, I don't know. That's my gut. My gut's telling me maybe a little bit of friendship, but I think the guilt is overriding that. I think if she hadn't been a sleazy friend, I think she'd, still want to help her, but I really think it's more guilt than
I also think
else.
it's guilt that she killed Beth because Beth and Sarah were super tight.
Right. I agree. Yep.
I feel like I can't say this enough. I cannot blame her for that death on Beth. Any one of those women would have been swinging that pickaxe to save their lives, and the girl was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, she got hit.
I totally agree that was an accident, but the way that she behaves after the fact,
I feel like
never says to Rebecca, I accidentally hit her with my axe.
She had to think she was dead. I mean, that axe went through her spine and out her throat. There was nothing she could do for her. They're being attacked by marshmallow monsters. She had to just go. And I'm not sure she would have risked. I mean, put yourself in this position. You're in this cave. There's thousands of marshmallow ghouls trying to eat you. You've already seen your friend's guts get eaten. I'm not hanging around because I feel guilty that I banged some chick. If that's the kind of human being this girl is, she doesn't care. She's like, she doesn't care. She's just getting the fuck out of there. She's not waiting around for Sarah because a year ago she had sex with her husband and she feels bad about it. Like, listen, I'll chance getting eaten by a marshmallow monster.
But she says she's going to stay and find Sarah. So
yeah, because she's Sarah's friend. She likes Sarah. I think she genuinely loves Sarah.
Ooh, I don't know. I have to disagree.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dylan on that one, Anna.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
All right. So our friend Sarah is picking her way along with her torch, and she finds Beth, who is actually still alive, despite being dragged down into the crawler's feeding den. She tells Sarah that Juno did this to her and to not trust her. Find your own way out. As she attempts to pick up Beth, her hand comes away with the necklace Juno was wearing. Beth tells her that Paul gave it to her. Then Beth asks her to kill her. Sarah bludgeons her with a rock, sparing her friend the horror of being alive when the crawlers come back to eat her. While she is mourning Beth, she's attacked again, this time from a childlike creature. And then there's another woman-like creature that is picking through the assorted dead things. Sarah tries to run and falls face first into a pool of gore. She rises slowly and tries to get out without making as much noise as possible, but another creature is there and it grabs her. There's a bloody wrestling match that ends when she stabs it with a bone. When another comes, she lays still before bludgeoning it. I agree with you that this was kind of a weird thing because these creatures wouldn't really know fire very well. Like this would be something that they're not familiar with. And you would think the heat from the fire would have been like, what is this? Like, and he was standing right next to something on fire and had his hand on her head, and she's warm. She's not cold. Like a dead thing would be cold.
Right.
So like, yeah, the rules were a little funky in some places,
Yeah.
Agreed.
Nikki, what'd you think of the scene?
I agree, and I think that the mama monster marshmallow ghoulie there was really she was creepy. Like she was probably the creepiest one to me, even more than the kid for some reason. Like she was the creepiest monster because not only obviously she's a monster, but she's like a protective mama monster. So that like I don't know, it just freaked me out. And then
you almost feel bad for her to a certain degree, but at the same time, she's creepy as hell.
Right. Yeah. And then, when she's on when Sarah's like on the rock and the thing like has its like foot on her head or her hand on his, I was like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like that grossed me out. It's just as much just having like that thing like touching me. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Yeah. No,
yes.
I'm all set. That would gross me out more than the pool of blood.
Yeah.
That mama marshmallow monster seemed to be more evolved than the other ones. It had hair. It looked like it could see because it was chasing her. It just looked like it was more human than the rest.
Maybe Mama Marshmallow Ghoulie was another spelunker that had gone down there and got stuck, and instead of killing her, they kind of made her like their,
Maybe, because it definitely looked more human. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
I mean, they're obviously procreating. There's a child like being, so they're procreating to some degree.
Right.
And
go ahead, honey.
I was going to say, there's no way Beth is still alive at this point. She's bled out. There's no way she's still alive. First of all, that pick went through her windpipe, through the back of her spine. There's no way she's still alive. And if she is still alive, she's not like, Juno did this to me. Like, no, it's just, there's no possible way. I wasn't buying it. And when Beth asked Sarah to kill her, if I'm Sarah, I'm like, could you possibly grab a bigger rock? I'm not sure that's going to do it. Like, when she drops it on the first time, it's like, no, that didn't do it. Give me another shot. Boom. No. One more, please. All right, stop. Forget it. You're just banging me up worse.
Oh my God. Oh geez. Although I'm gonna put something out there, and this is obviously not for Des because you don't feel this way, but Mickey, Beth knew that Juno and Paul had a thing and never told Sarah until now.
Bitch.
But like seriously, because she wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
She knew that it had come from Paul and wasn't surprised by it. So that meant she knew and she didn't tell her. And I got to be honest with you. Any of my good friends is banging one of my other good friends' husbands, I'm telling them.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel the same way. And that's kind of the only real issue I had with Beth, because I would want to know. And B, you can be damn sure that I'm going to be letting you know. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're supposed to be my, my BFF and, you're doing all this other shit for me, but yet you're not going to tell me that our other friend is screwing my husband, And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know why I think this, and they may have said it and I just forgot, but like, did they say that it was actually like, were they sleeping together? Or it was more like, I don't know why I can't.
I mean, nobody ever said that there was actual sex as far as I can tell, but I mean, he
gave her that, right.
Well,
there was
so
definitely feelings.
There was the comment made at one point when Juno says, we all lost something in that accident. At one point, she grabs a necklace and kisses it before jumping down into the cave. I mean, she was obviously, and this is a year later.
Yeah,
so,
but there was no exposition in this movie saying that there was an affair. I mean, these were all just, little winks and stuff. I mean,
yeah, I mean, but here's the thing is like, I'm not kissing a necklace a dude gave me who's been dead for a year if it wasn't a really important person to me.
No, totally agreed.
Agreed.
And I don't know if, and now I have to watch it again. I don't know if Sarah knew that, I'm sure she knew that she had the necklace. I'm sure she paid attention to it, but I guess she just assumed that it came from, not obviously from her husband, but like, what am I trying to say? I can't find my words.
Like, just because it was a cool necklace. Cause I mean, it says love every day on it. And I think that it was always turned around. So that was against Juno's chest and you could just see like the feather because it was a feather, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a silver feather. So maybe, I mean, I'm assuming she didn't know that her husband gave it to Juno because I'd be like, what are you giving her jewelry for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I wish they had flushed the whole thing out a little bit more for me.
Yeah. I mean, even if you gave me, honestly, I would have rather a 5-minute scene that explained the backstory there more than I needed all the joking around in the cabin with the women.
Definitely.
Yes.
You could have cut that and put a little bit more exposition into the relationship dynamics.
Yeah, some character building. That was one thing that this movie really lacked was you just never got to know any of these characters really.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think too, honestly, I think that originally it was supposed to be men.
It was supposed to be mixed, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be mixed initially. And eventually, at some point, the guy who wrote, was his name Neil, honey? He said, I think that you're like, maybe, I don't know. He said, there's not really a lot of horror films that are all women. So let's just do all women. And that's why
I was glad they did. I was glad they did.
Yeah. No, I think it adds something. I do.
Because the cave is mixed. And I don't know. I did like this better than the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to say, they all say to each other, these things hunt by using noise. And then they're like, hey, Sarah! Hey, Juno! It's like, bitches, shut up! What is wrong with you?
They absolutely did not follow the rules.
They are slothing it. Yes.
Yeah. Like the girl's little watch would be like, beep, 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 beep. And like the girl's right on it. But like, the other girls, Sarah's like, hey, everybody. And there's like no monster around.
Holy shit, you sounded totally like Rebecca when you
thank you. The voiceover career is a bitch.
Oh my Lord.
None of these women characters were very nice. They all ended up doing like super sketchy shit in this movie.
I don't know. I think that the two blondes, Sam and Rebecca, they were decent characters.
Oh, yeah. I forgot they were in the movie.
Yeah, they didn't have any fleshing out, so you kind of lose them. But they like Sam was going to school to be a doctor, and she was, setting bones and stuff. Like, like she was a good person.
She was nice. She was nice, and Beth was nice as a hot lunch. And and the other one was nice, whatever her name was.
Oh my God.
I'm talking about our three main characters,
Sarah.
though. They all have a point in this movie where they're doing stuff. The one holding the secret back.
Yeah.
The other one cheating with the other one's husband, and then leaving the other one to die. And we're going to get to the final sin at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sam, Rebecca, and Juno hear Sarah and they call out for her. As you'd expect by now, creatures that hunt by noise, this is attracting more of them, and they're forced to run away. They reach another chasm and Sam tries to traverse it, but a creature catches her halfway across. She's able to stab it, but not before it rips open her throat while her sister and Juno watch. Oof. From behind, a creature grabs Rebecca and tears open her belly. Juno jumps into the water at the bottom of the chasm. then climbs back up. She's about to fall when she's grabbed and pulled up by Sarah, who looks absolutely demonic, covered in blood at this point. And I'm just going to shoot straight through to the end. So hold on, people. Sarah gives Juno a chance to come clean about Beth, and Juno whiffs. Despite that, she tells Juno to come on. Once again, they're attacked by creatures, and this time they're able to fend them off. With the creatures dispatched, Sarah stands toe-to-toe with Juno, holding the axe. Juno doesn't understand what's happening until Sarah shows her the necklace. She puts the axe through Juno's leg and leaves her as creatures approach.
Yes.
So Sarah falls down another tunnel and suddenly sees daylight. And we get this great cinematography. I can't say it. You know, a great
I'm not
shot.
cutting that out. I'm not cutting that out.
Leave it in. It's fine. Leave it in. I don't give a crap. So we get this great shot of her crawling up the incline of bones towards the light, and it's like it shoots across the screen. Like it's so cool. It's a great shot. Like I saw that and I backed it up to watch it again. I was like, that's beautiful. Like it was just beautiful. And she breaks through to the outside. She runs screaming back to the vehicles and drives away. Once she's a safe distance over, she pulls and she's sobbing over. Oh God, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a marshmallow monster.
I am a marshmallow monster.
Jesus.
Marshmallow ghoulie.
I'm taking over again next week.
Whatever. Because you did so great.
My Batman review was a train wreck.
All right. Once she's a safe distance, she pulls over and starts sobbing. A truck blows by her, blaring its horn. She lowers her window and vomits. And when she sits back up, Juno is sitting next to her, grinning. We're left with a cut to Sarah's eyes snapping open. Is she still in the underground? Mickey, what did you think?
I
know there's a lot to unpack there. Feel free to back up if you need to.
Yeah, she's hanging from the cavernous with her throat slit. Let's start from there.
Okay, hold on a second, and you may want to edit this out. But your ending.
Mm-hmm.
Explain your ending again. Just the last, like when she's in the car and she throws up.
Yep, she throws up. She sits back up. Juno is sitting next to her, grinning, and it cuts to Sarah's eyes snapping open. And I know I watched the other ending, so I know the other ending.
Okay, because that's the only ending I've seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this one on Amazon that I watched last night, literally, she throws up. She sits back up. Juno's sitting next to her. Her eye, and you just get a close up of her eyes. Her eyes snap open, and that's it. It goes to black.
Oh,
so that's how they left it open for the Descent too.
Oh,
that's why they did that.
Yeah, which was not very good. But the ending that I saw, should I even talk about?
Yeah, no, please.
Yeah.
I was going to. So please go ahead.
Okay, so the ending that I saw was she crawls out. That beautiful shot of her climbing up the bones. She gets in the car. She's like kissing the car.
Mm-hmm.
They have the beautiful shot of, overhead of her driving. By the way, did you know this was filmed in Scotland?
Oh, I did not.
It was not filmed anywhere in the States.
Wow.
All the exterior shots were filmed in Scotland. In Scotland. So yay me, because I love anything Scottish. So, So anyway, and then she pulls over to the side of the road and she throws up and she lays, puts her head back and then the horn blows and then her eyes snap open and she sits up and she looks and she sees her daughter with a cake blowing out the candles. And as the camera pans back, you see she's stuck in the cave in a place where she can't get out.
Yes. And you can hear creatures all around her.
Yes. That's the ending that I saw.
Interesting.
Yep. I think what they said was that's the one I saw last night was the US ending.
Okay.
And they said that the reason why they did it that way was because they wanted to be able to do a second one, whereas you couldn't do a second one with the ending that you saw. Like,
right.
Yeah. Because basically pretty much everyone's dead and that's it. So
right. And to be honest with you, with the ending that I have with her stuck in the cave, I still think it's all in her head.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. These monsters don't exist. This whole thing didn't exist. It never happened.
Yeah.
In my mind. Did you see part 2, Mickey?
I saw part 2 when it first came out.
So is Sarah
Um,
in part 2? Does it continue from this movie?
Sarah is in part 2 and somebody else is in part 2. And I don't remember much of it. The only part I remember, like, her getting to the police station. She gets out and she's at like a police station and all these people want her to go back down there with them to show her where everything is.
I
And
saw it
that's
too. I saw it too.
okay. That's really all I remember. So that tells you what I thought of it, because I don't
That's funny
like
now that you say it. I remember.
I really feel like this one was so unique.
Yeah.
It was such a cool idea, cool story, and I love the fact that it makes you realize that those little marshmallow ghoulies,
Mm.
they're not the monsters. It's the people that you think are your friends.
Definitely. I
Yep.
love that. Great take on it. Yeah, the
So-
second one, they go down in that like old mine shaft, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember a lot about it.
Yeah,
I
me
just
neither.
remember that I didn't like it.
Yeah, I totally saw it now that you say that. I remember too, they
Yeah.
go down with the police and that mine
Yeah.
shaft. And yeah, it sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
essentially it's panned. Like everyone loves the first one and nobody likes the second one. So
Well, and I think that I don't even know if the same guy did it, because I don't think he wanted to do a second one.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
if it
because
was
I
the
think he
same.
wanted it to end and that was it. It was just
Right.
the movie was what it was.
yeah.
So I feel like yeah, there was no need for a second one. Like it's almost like what's the point of a second one? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
now if you took it and had a new group of people find the place and the
Right.
same thing happened again, okay. But to trot poor Sarah back out, although I will also say that there's the shot when she gets out, she breaks out of the hole
Yeah.
Yep.
and she's walking on the ground and she's like crying as she's stumbling towards the Jeep. It
Mhm.
reminded very much of the ending of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
it's almost like it was an homage because it called to it so hard. I was like, ooh, that was
Right.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Like, even though, like, oh my God, the happy music, and she's like, I'm free, I can breathe, and blah blah blah. But you still know that she's not free. Like,
No, no.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it had a little of that Nightmare of Elm Street feel too, because she's out, she's free, and then she's stuck in the dream or stuck in the
Right.
psychosis or whatever, because we know that Juno wasn't really in the car, but she's now
Right.
being dragged back into it, or what was that, room 1438, whatever the one is with Cusack.
Oh,
where he's-
1408.
Yeah, oh man, I
Yes.
love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. So we did gloss over a bunch of scenes
Yeah,
here.
no,
So
please feel free to go back.
I'll tell you. So I love when, she bumps into Juno again and she's covered in the blood. And I love what Juno says, what have you been up to? Because she's gone from being like mousy and scared to she looks like she's been kicking ass and taking
Yes.
names, and she's all business at this point.
Yeah.
And she's now going to take Juno the rest of the way. She's like, just get behind me. I'm going to kick some ass and we're going to get out of here. They get to the main room, and this fight scene between the ghouls and with Juno and Sarah is fucking a great scene. They speed up some of the film a little bit. The two girls are savage in this scene. They're fucking going to town on these poor little marshmallow people, crushing their skulls and just, I think at one point
Poking out their eyes.
Yeah, kicking one of them in the balls. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, you saw that, right?
Yes.
I didn't see any balls at any point, but
Yeah.
she kicked him in that general area.
Yeah.
She kicked him in his marshmallow mush. And yeah, I thought that scene was super effective. And then, I think that when Beth told Sarah, Juno did this to me, don't trust her. I think that was an ingenuous statement. And I'll tell you why. Because Beth knew goddamn well she snuck up on this woman while she was trying to defend her friends. Juno was kicking ass on the marshmallow people to save Beth, or to save Holly. And she would have done the same to save Beth if Beth had been in that position. She was not looking to hurt Beth. She was not looking to hurt anybody. She was trying to get those people out. She felt bad for putting them in the position. And then basically, Sarah commits murder on her friend at the end. She freaking sucker punches her in the knee with a climbing pick and says, See you later. You're a hot lunch, and leaves. Bullshit.
Well, to be fair though, like if I was Beth and I knew that Juno was sleeping with my friend's husband, and then even if it was an accident, the bitch hit me in the neck with a pickaxe, I'd be pissed. And I would say to my friend, she did this to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
By accident.
Go get her.
By accident. She did it by accident.
I mean,
Yes.
I totally 100% agree that it was an accident. She was,
Yes.
the adrenaline was pumping. She felt like, we all know what it feels like to have somebody come up behind you. Now think about that in the situation they're already in, fighting for their lives. You are going to swing because you don't expect somebody to be coming up behind you. So it is a little bit of Beth's fault that she's not like, Juno, as she's approaching her, because if you hear somebody say your name, you're not going to spin with the friggin' thing.
Yep.
Right.
And it's also Juno's fault for just swinging that axe around like a lunatic. But quite frankly, before you ever stepped foot into these stupid caves, you were messing around with one of your friends' husbands. Like, you're already a shitbag. Sorry.
You can't prove that.
Shitbag.
Oh,
you can't prove that.
Not only is she a shitbag for doing that, she's a shitbag for taking them to a different cave and not telling them and not filing a plan on the new cave.
Totally.
Yep. And then on top of that, you basically have put everyone's life in danger because you get into that first cave with them and you go, the only way out is to go through this, down this pipe. So you know what? She's been in there a little bit digging around. She knows something's going on in there. I mean, she doesn't know that there's creatures down there looking to eat their faces, but she clearly has an idea, and you lied to everybody and put all these people's lives in danger. Take the creatures out of the equation. Before you ever see a friggin' creature, Holly's broken her leg, and Sarah almost gets crushed.
Right.
Yep.
That's before you ever see a creature. Like, wildly irresponsible.
Right. And no offense, but if I'm with a group of girlfriends and we go into some place and they say to me, the only way out is down the pipe. No, I'll fucking crawl back up.
I'll meet you guys at the
got
Jeep.
a bunch of axes. Use the axes to crawl back up the side. Good Lord.
Right. Thank you.
I'll wait for you guys at the Jeep.
Exactly.
I'm going to sit here and eat my apple. I'll see you guys in a couple hours.
If you're not back by 8, I'm going to Wendy's.
Let's go to Popeyes.
Yeah, we're going to Popeyes. I'm all set. You could almost take the marshmallow people out of this movie and there's still a horror movie there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Juno's the bad guy.
Yeah. It's like literally the monsters are your people you think you can trust.
Sarah's the bad guy. She's the only one that actually intentionally murdered one of her friends down there. It's a total psychopath.
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with that.
Actually, Sarah murdered 2 of her friends down there. She crushed one of her friends' head with a boulder, and then she shoved a pick into the other one's leg and left her for a hot lunch. That lady
was a
is
mercy
nuts.
kill. The boulder was a mercy kill. But to be fair, she's on medication.
She is on medication.
To be fair, this is all in her head.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the ending we got, because again, she opens her eyes, she sees Juno in black and white, I might add. Juno is not even in color. And, then she opens her eyes. And in my mind, that's, her opening her eyes from this psychosis she's having or dream.
No. Because when you get that close up of her opening her eyes, her face is still covered in blood.
Well, she could be waking up in the car wreck from the beginning of the movie.
Oh, now that's interesting.
Or in the hospital, on the gurney.
Well, they would clean her up.
Well, not if she had just been.
I'm going to have to try to see the U.S. ending because I'll tell you, when I watch the ending that I have, that's the only one I've ever seen is the one that I've seen. Obviously, that sounds really stupid, didn't it?
I've only seen what I've seen.
I love it.
What I've seen.
This is what makes the podcast fun, though. When it's too stiff and done properly, it's like we're not good enough movie reviewers for us to be trying to pull off some legit movie review. It's fun when we're just sitting here butchering our way through it, like we were surrounded by marshmallow ghouls.
It has to be trash, or it doesn't work.
Yeah. Marshmallow ghoulie rave. I've only seen what I've seen, but I remember
seeing what I've seen.
It's like I am what I am. When I I lost my train of thought.
I'll
you
edit
were
it.
talking about the end. You were talking about the end.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I remember watching that, and it was almost like, I don't know if you guys have seen The Mist.
No,
like,
but I heard it's
not.
good.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Is it?
But it's one of those that I felt like I felt watching the end of The Mist. Like I felt like somebody just punched me in the stomach. Like it was like, wow, like holy, really? Like after all that, really? Like, damn, she can't catch a fucking break.
Yeah.
Like she's stuck in this thing. So
Mickey, was The Mist the one where they're all stuck in the supermarket?
yes.
Okay, yeah, that did look scary. I haven't seen it.
Incredible. That's another one. Like I don't want to like give it. I'm not going to give anything away, but like that's another one where you realize it's scary how fast people turn when like shit hits the fan.
Yeah,
Right.
It is an amazing movie.
Right.
Nice. Well, we'll put that
you
one
see
on the
who
list.
people really are when you get into a mess.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, this movie, like I said, it didn't scare me. There was, I know Dylan's already talked to you about this, but like I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I did watch that movie, Sinister, the first one with Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
And man, that movie scared the fuck out of me. And usually I am not scared by movies. The only movies that really genuinely scare me are like Paranormal Activity, because I watched that and there's a chance it could happen. Like if I ever woke up and Dylan was standing on my chest staring at me, like that's what I would be afraid would happen. So I couldn't watch that movie because I'm like, fuck this, man. I'm inviting this into my life. No.
Right.
But for a movie that doesn't have a scenario that could actually happen to me, Sinister was really scary. Like I remember about halfway through, I'm like, okay, I need to take a break. I paused it. I went out, like, goofed around in my kitchen for a few minutes and then went back to it. So I'd like to review that and see if it's as scary as I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch that because I'll tell you, like, I love horror movies, and I own a ton of them. And Sinister's one that I'll watch them over and over again. Sinister's one that I've only seen once.
Me too.
And I would watch it again, but I'd have to watch it during the day. Like,
it's scary.
No, it's a scary one. It's a scary one. I remember being frightened. I was almost as frightened for that one when I was. What's the one with the red man? That is.
Insidious.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was terrifying.
That was terrifying. Very creepy too.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh,
that was
scary.
That was a good
one.
Well,
I love the pretty much all the movies that are based on Ed and Lorraine Warren. I love all those movies. So I watch all of them. And I also love Vera Farmiga. So like it's like a double double whammy because I love her and then I love Ed and Lorraine Warren. So pretty much watch any of the movies that are based on them. But that one in particular really got me. Like that was really creepy.
Yeah, nice. When they talk about the further, that's really creepy.
Yeah, the whole thing is creepy. Well, it's also that jump scare that happens like literally in the middle of a scene where you don't expect a jump scare,
Yep.
like that. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but yeah, like they somehow pulled off an amazing jump scare in the middle of a scene that like you're just not expecting one. So
yes, and it's what's funny too is I do know that like I feel like I'm usually pretty good with jump scares. Like I don't usually get sucked in by a lot of them, but The Descent, man,
I'm with you.
The poles, oh my God, like I literally jumped out of my seat.
They got me at least 3 times with jump scares. I'm like, whoa, they got me.
Yeah.
The
one with the camera got me because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. The poles got me. the monster, above the head got me.
Yep.
There were a few that got me pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll make plans to either do The Mist or we'll do Sinister or both. We'll just put them both on there.
All.
Or all. And of course, we're gonna do the Continental Divide with Mickey. I know she's dying to do it.
What?
Continental Divide?
No, she's not.
She is.
He's making this up. It's a movie that sounds terrible that I don't even want to watch. And
it's a rom-com with John
trying
Belushi.
to softball it in. No,
with John Belushi.
Garbage.
It's a nice movie.
No, it's literally like the only John Belushi movie nobody has seen except for you.
It's a very nice movie. All right, we've been talking about anything but this movie for the last 20 minutes. So
I suppose it's time for rewatch scores, huh?
Yeah. So Mickey, what is your rewatch score and final thought on The Descent?
My rewatch score is probably, I'd say 3.8.
3.8. I like it.
Because I love to be scared. I love the whole concept of it. And I love the fact that the monsters were the least scary thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just, the whole, people, the friendship thing was scary, and just the claustrophobia was scary to me.
Yeah. All right.
Glenn?
All right. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I'm not sure that I'd be rewatching it personally very much, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was scary enough to be a quote unquote scary movie, but not so scary that I'm like, I will never ever watch that ever again type of scary, because there are a couple of those out there. So yeah, I think a 3.5 is a fair score. They could have done a little bit more character building. There was definitely some story left on the table that could have made it a little bit better, that might have made me invest in the characters a little more. But it was still a fun ride.
Yeah. I'm going to start explaining the rewatch score to the co-hosts as they come on, because I think people are misunderstanding it. Like, for instance, when we did talk radio, Tony gave it a lower score because I think he was thinking, how many times would he rewatch it? So it's basically you're scoring it like you would, stars. It's just called a rewatch score. It's not how many times you rewatch it. So I wouldn't watch this movie again. I mean, I wouldn't look for it again. If it was on, maybe I'd leave it on if I was like dicking around the house. But here's the deal with this movie. I don't like horror movies. This wasn't a horror movie. It wasn't a great movie. It wasn't a perfect movie. The character building was terrible. They didn't stick to their own rules with the monsters. The monsters weren't scary. But this movie was a shitload of fun. I really liked it. I loved the story of women going down in these caves, and it didn't matter that the story was thin. It was fun, and I really enjoyed it. And for that reason, I am going to give this movie a rewatch score of 4, because if you like this kind of movie, how could you not be entertained? You're at a marshmallow rave. It's awesome. Marshmallow monster rave. It's great. You got Carrie, you got pickaxes, you got infidelity, you got murder, you got monsters. Yeah, you got
compound fractures.
You got whitewater rafting. It's all in there. Little girl birthday parties. It's everything you could ask for.
The little girl birthday party is not the selling point.
Oh my God. All right.
Just a little fun fact, though. I don't know if you knew this. Just throw this in there. The director of this movie also did Dog Soldiers, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, never heard of it. What is it?
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Again, it takes place in Scotland, and it's I guess it's considered a horror movie. It's a werewolf movie. Some of the best werewolf effects I've ever seen.
I'm gonna have to go look for it.
I love werewolf stuff, and they're just badass. Like, you should watch it.
Okay,
it's another one that I own, but yeah, it's really good.
In this case, I think I might have to suggest a movie to Mickey that we do, An American Werewolf in London, the original.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
that might have to be
it's
one.
It's literally the most terrifying thing ever. Like, that's one of the ones on my list that's like, it actually frightened the pants off me.
I have told the story. I have told the story on this show in a different podcast of my experience with that movie and what happened and how horrified I snuck in as a little kid. And saw it with some friends. And my mother was going to nursing school at the time, and she would leave early before I would go to school. I was so afraid that she was either A, turning into a werewolf, or B, was going to be like Jack, that at night I would go to bed and I'd be like, Mom. And she'd be like, yeah. Checking. Mom, yeah. And I'd do it over and she'd come in and be like, all right, what's going on? Why do you keep calling my name? Because I want to know if you're a werewolf.
Oh my God.
Yep. And in the morning, I used to sleep in and then get myself to the bus. I would have to get up and go with her to the bus. She would get on the bus and I would go home because I was so afraid that Jack was going to come visit me. So little kids, don't go see movies you shouldn't go see because they will fuck you up. Okay. I have rambled on enough. So with Mickey's 3.8, Dylan's 3.5, and my 4.0, I think it's fair that we give this movie a 3.75 2005 rewatch score. It is better than average. It's a great movie. If you like this kind of movie and you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Go see this movie. It's a lot of fun. We will be back next week. We will have Pat, the podcaster with a fully packed bong, back again for your entertainment. And we will be discussing the movie Scrooged, because we will be doing a month of Christmas movies.
We're going to attempt to, at least.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm looking forward to doing this one. And for anybody that's keeping score, we were supposed to do Ford Fairlane last week, but unfortunately that movie has been canceled. And unless you own a copy of it, you cannot watch it. And since we only had one copy between the three of us, we weren't able to get it done in time. But we are going to do it. We are going to pass that one lowly copy around in the future and get it done.
I don't even want to watch it, but we'll do it.
I don't either. I'm sure
it's just terribly masochistic. And
how about this? I watched a preview. Yeah. You watched a preview. Let's give it our score now and be done with it.
Oh, 0.
Ford Fairlane gets 0 rewatches. Okay, we're done with that one.
I feel because I know Pat wants to do it, but oh boy, the trailer was a tough watch. And so I'm thinking to myself, I have to sit through a whole movie of this, like, with the Andrew Dice Clay doing the thing. I'm like, I was just like, I can't. It
may not happen. It may not happen. All right, so I just want to thank all the viewers that stopped by to listen to the show. And if you want to support the show more, of course, you can do that on our Anchor page. It helps us put out better content, which wouldn't be hard. And if you want to give us your opinions, thoughts, whatever it is, you want to just leave a message. If I think it's clever, I think it's interesting, I think it's smart, I'll read it at the end of the show. And if you want to request a movie that we do and we think it's something that we'd like to do, we, of course, will give you full credit, mention it on the air, and do the movie if we like it.
We've got the Facebook page. Hey, did you ever see that movie? And we also have the Gmail. It's hey, did you ever see that movie @gmail.com. So feel free to reach out either way, like the Facebook page, comment on stuff. We try to share what we're doing ahead so people can, watch along if they want to. And just trying to build a little bit of community over there.
I love it. And Mickey, so next week we are doing Scrooge, but the week after we have open, and I would like to extend this offer to you. If you want to pick a Christmas movie, and it could be anything from Trading Places to Die Hard to whatever, as long as it has a Christmas tree in it, it counts. Sweet. So you pick whatever you want. I don't care what it is. Be creative, surprise us, and the floor is yours.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining the show. Mickey, thanks for coming on. Like always, it's so much fun having you. And we'll see you all next time. And remember, hey, did you ever see that movie? Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I swear I got it this time. That's it. No more giggles. Okay. Our movie opens with 3 women paddling through river rapids. The waters are treacherous, but oh, God.
I'm sorry, I can't hear this open line again.
You guys can't hear me wheezing because I'm trying to hold my laughter.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm enjoying my extra icy drink to annoy Lynn.
You're an ass. I told him, I said, it's Bush League to have ice crinkling in your drink. I was like,